From the environs of the Queen City of the West, Cincinnati, this is the semi-final of the Thriftway ATP Championships. Gomez won the first game on serve. Edberg will start out for himself on serve in the semi-final match. Fair to say that, Fred, that Edberg sometimes starts out a little slowly, or?
Oh no, I definitely agree with that. It takes him a while to get on track. Takes him a while to warm that service motion up. I think it goes back and it's like a frying pan. He takes that racket back very flat, and then he's got to hook it over the top.
Interesting angle there too when you watch him throw the ball up on the second serve, how much he throws it over his shoulder, so that he does have to, as you said, bend his back, and that's where he gets that big kick from.
I'm going to be interested to see how much he goes to the forehand of Gomez in comparison to the backhand. He's directed pretty much everything in this opening game to the backhand side.
You mentioned the second serve of Gomez, Fred. I think the other thing that's improved in his game is the backhand. You know, he was so inclined to slice it all. Now he's got a lot more confidence and go through it like you saw on that last point. Game point, Edberg.
Purely and simply by stats throughout the week on the serve, and we feel that that's going to be the major development in this game, is who serves better. Gomez has only been broken twice throughout the entire tournament.
Gomez is complaining to Paula Pereira about something. What is it, Mary? Can you tell?
No, I don't know what he sees back there.
It must be something in his line of vision there, or maybe the sun catching on something that is causing the glare.
Pato Rodriguez is Gomez's coach on the left.
That's Gomez's wife as well, in the pink hat. Anna Maria, she was a top junior player for a number of years, and when Gomez was floundering a few years ago, it really hurt her to see it because she knew how talented her husband was. And finally she said to him, look, if you're miserable, if you can't get motivated, just quit. We'll have a good time. Or start working again, which is, of course, just what he did.
Yeah, that happens sometimes. There's apparently somebody with like a watch or a piece of jewelry that which reflects in the eyes of the players, and
That's amazing. You can put your makeup on. Put your makeup on at the tennis. Andre saying, I'm sorry about that.
He's the star of the show. One game more, first set.
Shows you the confidence that Gomez has in his game now. He worked that point around beautifully, struck a big heavy forehand, and that opened the court up, got the short reply to allow him to play the slice approach. Put so much pressure on Edberg's passing shot.
Gomez reminds me a little bit of a guy like Brad Gilbert or like Ken Rosewall used to be. That you say about this guy that you're watching now, what is it? It doesn't look that good, but if you understand the sport deeply, he is a genius.
Both these players, Edberg and Gomez, they make the game look so effortless.
Easy.
Gomez to the point of making it actually look lazy. But in fact, both Stefan Edberg and Gomez are both so efficient in the way they move and hit the ball that it looks like sometimes like they're not trying. Of course, that can be devastating to an opponent.
2-1 on serve, first set. Gomez leads it. We'll be back.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Thriftway ATP Championship is pleased to welcome the Coca-Cola Holiday Company, Delta Airlines, Embassy Suites Hotel, Fuji Photo, your greater Cincinnati Mercedes-Benz dealers, Moneybank Cam Company, and the IBM Corporation as official sponsors of the tournament. Your attendance at the Thriftway ATP benefits Children's Hospital Medical Center of Cincinnati, national and international respected for excellence in patient care, education, and research. Thank you from all the employees, medical health staff, patients, and families of Children's Hospital Medical Center for your support.
One of the very top players in the world now, Andres Gomez. He's on the go-go. He won Barcelona and Madrid. He hit the French Open. Of course, he beat Andre Agassi in the final. Philadelphia, he got to the final. Pete Sampras surprised him in the final to win the thing. And then he was semi-finalist in Rome. And, of course, things weren't finished here in Cincinnati. This is the semi-final. Very much alive. 2-1. Gomez leads first set. Interesting shot of Edberg's serve. He throws the ball up that high that the ball actually goes out of our screen. So it's about 3 or 4 feet higher than where he makes contact. Watch. You contrast that with Gomez's serve that you'll see in a moment, because this is 40 love in this game. Gomez throws the ball up only as high as where he makes contact with it.
We said that the serve would dominate this match, and both players have been very effective on serve, both only having lost 1 point each. Talk about mobility there. Gomez running back and forth, chasing volleys and coming up with passing shots. I think that may tell on him after a while, because I feel that Edberg is going to spend more time at the net because of that kick serve, making the first volley, than Gomez is.
Yeah, I think Gomez does better. We saw him beat up on Jim Courier, a very, very hard-hitting, aggressive baseliner. Against Courier, Gomez, he can pick and choose his aggressiveness. He can come in when he wants. He can hit from the baseline when he wants. Against Edberg, who's going to be parked at the net all day long, Gomez would have to work harder and hit a lot more tough shots, passing shots and such.
That's why. You see the difference, ball toss of the two. You watch Gomez, He kind of lets it just come out of his hand and then hits it almost immediately so that the ball doesn't get any higher than where he makes contact with it. Look at this. Very efficient that way. Let's see, Kevin Curran serves that way through. Roscoe Taylor, Jim Courier to some extent.
Yep. He doesn't waste much effort in any of his stroke production, Gomez. Just shows you how efficient he has been. He wins 81% of the points when he gets this big first serve in. Look at that very short swing, catches Edberg out wide, and it sets the point up, and it has done all week for him.
Game point. And game. Andres Gomez on serve has the lead. 3 games to 2 first, best of 3 sets semi-final.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Thriftway ATP Championship is pleased to welcome Easy Spirit Shoes, Silver Trust, and the Corporate Company as marquee sponsors of the tournament. And Cape Tower Light Company, the Prudential and Thriftway, Food and Drug, is premier sponsors of the tournament. Thank you for your support.
Great.
Cause for celebration for Stefan Edberg. He's the #1 player in the world now on the IBM ATP computer. Only 7 other players have ever achieved that since the computer was inaugurated back in '73. Nastase was the first man, followed by Newcomb, and then Jimmy Connors, who came back, by the way, and was #1 on the computer a couple of times. Borg for so long, John McEnroe dominated, and then Yvonne Lendl in '83 for the first time. Mats Wilander for the shortest time of everybody, and Stefan Edberg maybe even shorter because Lendl next week, if he does well, could retake #1. Edberg's not playing.
Edberg's #1 position is not official until the rankings come out on Monday. This is the backhand that we've been talking about with Andres Gomez, where he's gained confidence. A lot of the times he would chip that when it gets up there. He's strong enough, obviously, to make the shot from around shoulder height.
Maybe a factor for him this match that the kick serve of Edberg's, he likes to get it up, which gets it out of the reach of most players, but because Gomez is so tall, it's not going to hurt him to the same extent.
And I think Edberg has to change his swing a little bit here too, Cliff, because at this stage he's been going to the backhand of Gomez on most occasions. That one straight to the body was a good play. I don't know, his favourite serve is off this side, the kick serve to a right-hander's backhand, but here it bounces right up into the hitting zone of Gomez, and I don't think you'll see him do that too often.
Hasn't been in any trouble on his serve until this moment. 30 all. Not exactly trouble, but at least it's a chance.
See how the racket, he opens the face of the racket, and then the wrist doesn't really snap back until very late in the swing. Look at the execution on this volley. This fella's all set and ready to go. He moves forward, perfectly played. Textbook stuff, that.
Game point. And game, 3 games all for a set.
Again, the mobility there. Gomez just a little slow, moving to the forehand side more so than the backhand side. I think he very late in the preparation on a couple of shots there where Edberg's been able to get the volley back to the forehand and getting a little bit off balance.
I think, Fred, that Andres Gomez allows himself to be a little bit more lazy on the forehand side movement-wise than the backhand because he's got such good handwork. He can still snap over it.
He's so strong, isn't he?
Yeah. John McEnroe, who lost here early, he was moving so poorly that, and it showed up on his backhand side. It got very defensive looking. He's still clever enough on his forehand that it didn't hurt that much.
There are only 6 other events, including the Grand Slams, that offer more prize money than the ATP Championships. The winner takes home $170,000. The winner of this match will take home $89,000. Game point still for Gomez.
It's only the second point Gomez has lost on serve. Last 2 service games he's won to love. Gomez is the only one of the semi-finalists that has not dropped a set in this year's championship.
Fred, may I?
Yes, yeah, here. I wonder if we can get some, how much to get some water.
That bag in the back. Fred, you want to take this? Good. Compare the ball drop on that one.
So, we can handle it, we can handle it. We just want to show you the comparison of both these fellas' serves. Edberg on the right, Gomez on the left. Edberg, as he starts, you can see the position of the racket. Look how it comes back flat like a dish. He takes it back. It doesn't, the wrist snap doesn't get until right there. Then it flicks down in behind. He arches his back and goes up into it. Gomez starts pretty much with an open face racket, but a very short backswing, straight up, very limited, and he lays the wrist back a lot earlier and comes through and hits the ball a lot sooner.
4 games to 3, Gomez leads first set. This is Edberg serving. Pretty good serving display, Fred, from both guys so far.
Yes, you can't ask for much better than that, and it has been the serve, and we mentioned that at the top of the show that the serve would dominate this match. Anytime you get up around 70% of first serves in, you know you're having a good day in that department. technical fault from Edberg so far today.
30-15.
Oh! 89 miles an hour, that first delivery.
But with Edberg's, with all the work on Edberg's ball, there's a speed gun that just shot that. That's going to feel more like 100 miles an hour on an opponent's strings because there's so much work on Edberg's serve. That's our own Dr. Leo Levin's speed gun. He's in charge of that, and he and Brad Gilbert were having an interesting discussion about serves, about the speed gun this morning, because Gilbert said, hey, Chang was serving at 108, but I was playing classic, and he was serving at 107. His 107 feels a lot bigger, because of course there's so much more work on it. Chang's 108 is just a hard hit, flat fall, and guys like Jakob Lasek and Gomez, Edberg, their 108 serves, 107 serves are a lot bigger, really. More to them.
There it is. That's the mechanism that is getting the speed from the serves. Maybe the speed of the ball 3 feet off the racket, and it's what you're talking about more is what we used to, and I suppose still to call the heavier serve as against just a speed serve.
Right, it comes off the court differently because there's been more spin or pace or power attached to it on the serve.
4 games all, first set.
Difference in that point, if you watch that rally with Edberg, was a good 15 feet behind the baseline throughout that rally. It started right from the return of serve. Gomez was 6 feet inside the baseline. Quite a contrast. Look there as Edberg way back to receive the first delivery.
He's always been more comfortable there, hasn't he? If he gets any big server, he'll do that.
Even on grass he does that.
Something in mobility, he sure makes up for it because he's such a tall guy with long arms and a big reach.
There's the smooth service motion that has been so good for him. Now it sets up the short reply. He doesn't retreat behind the baseline at all. He gets in position for the approach and finds an easy backhand volley.
40 love. He's had no trouble on serve.
Like throughout this game, he's had Edberg way back on his heels behind the baseline. He's lost 2 points on serve in the first set so far.
Extraordinary. This is his 5th serve game. Game point. Long, pretty close.
There's the approach shot. A good sliced backhand sets up the volley. Good shot from Gomez though, right at Edberg's feet there. But Edberg stands his ground and knows that Gomez would have had to come up with a miracle shot to win that point.
Full house again today, 10,300 people, sold out. It has been since Wednesday. Over 136,000 people will show up for the tennis this week. Game point. First real bad mistake we've seen from Gomez.
Yeah, took his eye off that one completely. He thought he'd had the winner. He's been very successful with that off forehand. Edberg way out of court. Edberg did a good job to keep the ball down low. Gomez just took his eye off it.
Deuce.
First game of the match that's gone to deuce.
This is first ever fought. Coach White concerned this is the first time he's been in any kind of trouble. As we said, going into this game, he hadn't lost but 2 points on his serve in the set. Now he's down break point.
And this man is keen. Stefan Edberg, he's up, hopping around, still receiving serve way behind the baseline.
Good move. You pay the price if you stay that far back and try to chip it back, don't you? You've got to really got to try to whack the thing and hit it for a winner. Watch.
Gomez hasn't served and volleyed on too many occasions, but he now has an all-court game and has the ability to do just what he did then on the big points.
Silver Fox. Tony Pickard, former Davis Cup player for England, one of the calmest, nicest people on the tour.
And Ed Olsen, who's Stefan Edberg's long-time lady friend.
Game point. So Gomez really had more difficulty with that serve game, but he held on. The on-serve 5-4 first set. This is Sunday night. Sunday night, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, the Footway ATP Championship is pleased to welcome the Citizen Associates, the favorite sponsor of the tournament.
That had to be the last
The
one
honor
they
is
played.
are asked to check your tickets as you enter the stadium. Please be sure that your ticket stub is visible and tightly secure. Thank you.
There's pressure on. Sunday night here on ESPN, live coverage of Sunday Night Baseball at Houston, San Diego Padres. That's live, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. This is live coverage of the Thriftway ATP Championships on the lines of Cincinnati. Andres Gomez and Stefan Edberg, who has lost only 1 set in 3 meetings against Andres Gomez. But he's playing against a different guy now, a man who has won the French championships.
Gomez did a tremendous job in that last game, leading 40 loves and then losing a few. And there's the familiar call, the foot fault. You just get that every time Stefan Edberg plays, 1 or 2 of them. And it's the back foot that comes through. The back foot comes up and touches the line.
They went on Stefan Edberg's tough losses at the U.S. Open. It's the only Grand Slam he's never gotten to the final of. He lost in the round of 16 at 83 to Aaron Crickstein, to a 16-year-old. By the way, Crickstein was on. And he got called for 25 foot faults in that match. That's what he remembers most about it.
So I made an overhead a couple of points ago, and thought occurred to me during this week that it's very difficult to lob him. He gets back very well, got good wheels backwards and forwards. And of course he's tall, 30 low.
By the way, that was a first round match where he lost. He's gotten to the finals twice at the Open. That's the best he's ever done there. But right now, surely he's the best hardcourt player around. The hottest, I should say. Remember last year, he lost to 37-year-old Jimmy Connors in the fourth round, 6-2, 6-3, 6-1.
He said that was his most disappointing loss of the year.
Funny how the top players, they go through their careers and they win certain Grand Slam titles and have more difficulty at others. Alan Borg, of course, didn't win the US Open, won Wimbledon 5 times in a row. Won the Australian, won the French.
Won the French 4 times, but in 10 tries he couldn't win the US Open. That was on 3 different surfaces too, because the Open has changed surfaces that many times.
Got to the final a few times.
Connors won it on all 3. Game point again to Stefan Edberg. 5 games all. Interesting, kind of, I don't know how you get a handle on this match. The serve has just dominated the show so far. Edberg had a chance last time that Gomez served. After Gomez got out to a big lead, then he had a break point, didn't convert. No breaks, 5 games all. The danger for Gomez is when Edberg kind of gets things going and starts to attack like he did on that last point.
You'll find in this game, the net points there, you can see that Gomez has only been in 10 times to 25. Good percentages there for Edberg when he's in there. Same for Gomez. But Edberg in this game, you'll find, will attack relentlessly. I think he's going to play a game of chip and charge and put some pressure on Gomez.
So beautifully. He is so supple, Stefan Edberg, and he has such extraordinary balance. He's such a natural volley. And who makes a shot like that, a move to the net like that, easy, and it's not.
He knows he's got to get into that position though, and he surprised Gomez on that occasion. And he waits, he's patient, he'll wait for the right ball.
Top 30. Stretch when he made contact with that thing. It's not that easy to do either. Keeps him in this game a little closer. 15-30 instead of love 40 after that swing.
It shows you the good tactical move there from Gomez, because he realised he had to serve the volley on that point, otherwise Edberg would have been in the net again.
Comes into net a lot, you have to counter that by coming in yourself, otherwise he just takes it away from you.
The angle he creates on this catches Edberg way off court. Look at the positioning here. He lets it bounce, which is a good move. He knows he's got the open court, plenty of time to execute, and he waits until Edberg commits himself to go one way.
30 all.
Of the day. Gomez does the right thing again here. He Gets the big first serve in, out to the forehand. Doesn't get the volley in the right spot. They're not quite wide enough, and Edberg, and it was deep with not much on it. Edberg full swing. He had that racket prepared as he went on the run to the backhand.
That's long, and the serve of Edberg Gomez is broken. That's the first break of the match. When we come back, Edberg will serve for the first set.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Thriftway ATP Championship is pleased to welcome the Andrew Jerry's Company, M&M Mars, Olson Beer and Ale, Cartridge Meat, Kurt Plus, and Pontiac as official sponsors of the tournament.
Cups and medals.
Reminder, Thriftway ATP fans, to remember to use the exhibition booth at the east side of the stadium and sign up for a variety of exciting giveaways.
Third highest purse, not including the Grand Slams in tennis, $1.3 million. The winner will take home $170,000 and 250 IBM ATP points, finalist. And that's what these fellas are playing for now, 89,600. They have both already banked 47,000 and change. This is Edberg serving for the set.
Gomez switched rackets on that last changeover. And there was nothing wrong with the racket he just finished serving with, but obviously he wants to return with a slightly different tension racket. Met that last one sweetly.
Edberg's tactics have continued to be to serve and try and stretch Gomez to the backhand side.
Points from the set for Edberg.
Good move there from Edberg. He hit that delivery straight at Gomez, which takes away the angle. If that had been out to the backhand a little wider, Gomez would have come over that return. He was forced to hit one off the front of his body and to chip it.
Taking the hand there to show that the kind of apologetic, Mary. I probably didn't catch it like he wanted.
No, he framed that ball. It was a stab volley that just kind of squirted over the net. It was a great defensive block.
Gives him set point. So Edberg has won the first set. On serve until 5 games all, and then Edberg broke. Gomez had no trouble until 2 serve games ago when he had a lead, and then Edberg came back, had a break point, which he didn't convert, then he finally did at the 5-hole game, and Edberg rolls out to a first set win over the French Open champion. First game, second set.
Edberg only lost 6 points on serve throughout that first set, and 2 of those were double faults, so the serve has been dominant.
Out.
got to it perfect long, hit the overhead just long. But in spite of that, I still say that Edberg has got one of the best overheads in tennis, because the way that he can motor, you know, some people can move very well sideways, but a lot of players have got a lot of difficulty moving forwards and backwards, not him.
It's important for Edberg to be a good smasher because he closes into the net so close that he's often faced with lobs.
Playing a very good tactical match now, Mary. I think he's decided, as Fred has been saying, that he's got to get into the net sooner, and he's doing it now, and it's working. (30-15).
First set in his pocket, and it was a close one. Both players knew they were going to have a tough match here. But right now, Edberg winning that first set, he can be a little more free in the way he wants to play the return of serves or what he wants to do to get into the net. Way back for the second serve, way behind the most.
He can do that, though. He can be way behind this baseline step on Edberg and still come in so quickly. If he sees a short ball, he moves just better than anybody. I love watching him move. I mean, Agassi's real quick too, but look how far deep he is, and he can still be at the net 2 shots from now.
Gomez cannot afford to lose this opening serve of the second set.
It's break point. Wide left-handed serve into the backhand side.
Michael Chang, of course, is another great mover. Stefan Edberg thought about being a sprinter when he was a kid. That is out at the 1984 Olympics when tennis was just a demonstration sport. Edberg won it that year, by the way, along with Rob. Somebody said to him, if you weren't a tennis player, what would you have been? And he said, a sprinter. And they said, were you fast as a kid? And he said, very fast.
This is the longest game of the match, and a very important one for Gomez.
Deuce. Slice backhand from Edberg. He's got 2 distinct backhands. He can go through the ball, flat, not much topspin, but he also has that slice that he uses a lot. Game point. Well done by Gomez. First game, second set. He lost the first 7-5.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. R.A. Bartlett, please go to the Colony Beach and Tennis Resort exhibition booth located on the east side of the stadium to pick up your choice of a Colony Beach and Tennis Resort hat or shirt. R.A. Bartlett, please go to the Colony Beach and Tennis Resort booth on the stadium east side.
set stats, you can just see how close this match was in that opening set, 42 minutes. The service percentages went down halfway through the set. They were up around the 70% mark, both players, and Edberg went off the boil a little bit. That second serve, he's been able to follow it up with some good volleying, and it's the volleying that won it, but very close with winners and unforced errors. Of course, the only service break there was at 5-all when Edberg broke Gomez and then served out the set.
For the tournament, Edberg's first serve percentages were at 65, so it has not been as good a serving day for him in that respect today as it has been for the rest. But he won the first set 7-5 on serve. Gomez leads it 1-0 in the second.
Gomez not quite over to that shot. Tried to muscle it, flick of the wrist at the last minute. Was out of position.
This is a Thriftway ATP Championships that you're watching from Cincinnati. Stefan Edberg playing against Andres Gomez of Ecuador. We're in the second set. Edberg won the first 7-5. This is the second game of the second set. Gomez leads it 1-0 on Cliff Drysdale with Fred Stolle. Mary Carrillo is at courtside. 30-love in this game. Edberg serving, trailing 1-0. Second set.
Well, you do not see that very often, and that just shows you what Andres Gomez thinks of the volleying of Stefan Edberg. Edberg goes in to make a volley. Whoops, suddenly I've got a lob return off a second serve, and look how deep that lob was.
Flicked at that one down the line, just missed it.
Two very different returns there. He's giving him a different look, isn't he?
Mixing it up a little, you could say.
Yeah.
Game point.
Shows you the respect that he has, Gomez, for Edberg's volley.
Wide, 1 game more. Many wins on the tour for 1990. The IBM ATP Tour, 929,000 and change for Stefan Edberg. Van Lendl behind him, and then Andres Gomez at number 3 after his French Open win. Boris Becker, Andre Agassi over 500,000. So is Ivan Izovic, and Sanchez, Muster, Gilbert, and Pete Sampras.
So that means after this week, Stefan Edberg will be over the $1 million mark. That's not bad for half a year.
Well, a little more than that, Fred. Let's see, where are we here?
Early August.
Still got a little way to go, though.
His third ace, Gomez.
Where has he picked up all that money? Really made $100,000 down in Australia, losing to Ivan Lendl in the final. First Grand Slam of the year. He had to retire. Two games to 1 on serve in the second set.
Ladies and gentlemen, over the past 15 years, the Thriftway ATP Championship has donated $1.6 million to Children's Hospital Medical Center. And according to the ATP, this is the largest amount donated by any tournament to a single charity. The patient's family staff of Children's Hospital Medical Center saying thank you. This reminder from the tournament physician, he recommends you drink plenty of fluid during the game today and periodically go into the shade.
Yeah, that's fine.
At the first aid, the first aid station.
Shoulder turning. Early preparation. Look at this.
Welcome back to the Thriftway ATP Championship. We just thought we'd like to give you a look at the backhands of both these fellas in the early preparation. Just watch on the screen how Stefan Edberg, when he moves, look, on the run to hit this passing shot, the racket is back on the run, not when he gets there, the shoulder turn and out after it. A different type of backhand from Andres Gomez here. He's not on the move. He plants that front foot, the same thing, good shoulder turn, and then he rotates the hips and the shoulders out towards the target. That's where both players get the power from.
Edberg serving, trailing 1-2, second set.
Another lob return. Rosie Casals used to return, especially in doubles, she'd do a lot of lob returns, you know, to get the incoming server off her back and off the net. And now Gomez realizes that against Edberg, he might have to try that too.
You're too young to remember, Mary, but I'll tell you a much bigger match than that in a moment. It was won by the lob return to serve. It was the late great Rafael Osuna from Mexico, and he defeated Frank Froling in the final of the US Championships, as it then was, before open tennis came into being. On grass, he hit lob returns all day and really upset Froling. Froling had a tremendous first serve, not a big volley. Osuna won that match.
I knew you'd bring him up, Osuna Oleda.
I don't know.
Is the sun starting to get to you down there, Mary?
Well, you know, I've been frying down here for the last couple of days, and I guess so.
30-15. One of the great champions in the sport, Rafael Osuna from Mexico.
As you said, he died in a plane crash in Mexico, going to a tennis tournament.
Game point for Edberg.
Football.
Another footfall. Another footfall, and Gomez says, don't call them when I hit returns like that.
Little glance from Edberg over to the man in the chair. He's such a calm character. For him, he never really makes it a real serious complaint. 38-2 this year after he wins the first set. That's not good news for Gomez.
Just the kick serve was bothering Gomez too, that last one. He's being forced now to retreat because he doesn't have the ability that Michael Chang does with the two-hander, where he can step in and take that on the rise. Gomez really has come back. He's 3-7 after losing the first set. So he's in trouble, but it's the kick serve that to the backhand that's been causing the problems.
Tournament benefits the largest pediatric medical center in the United States, the Children's Hospital Medical Center. They've done some wonderful work there. Artificial blood was developed there. Oral polio vaccine, heart lung machine. Two games all second set. First set Edberg. Love 15.
Rodriguez and Gomez's wife must be starting to worry somewhat at this stage.
Gomez has had a coach for 8 years, Colon Nunez, and they were like brothers, and they still are very, very close. But they made a break last year, and that's when Pato Rodriguez came in and said, listen, I really think you can keep playing. I really think your best tennis is still ahead of you. It's important to hear when you're 29 years old.
Spectacular move from Edberg. Talk about his speed, Mary. He makes even this shot look pretty wet.
It's just, again, he's just got just gorgeous balance. And to be able to come up with a shot like this, of course, Gomez was planted pretty well at the net, and he didn't have to make any kind of a great volley. But the fact that he had to make a volley at all is what the fans are applauding about.
Nunez is coaching Nicholas Pereira now, who did he win the Junior Grand Slam a couple of years ago? Came very close to winning it anyway. It's on the tour.
Edberg did that once.
Yeah.
Well, Pereira's a fine young talent from Venezuela.
Right.
But in fact, Andres' agent, Dickie Dale, had to convince him to keep on playing. For a while there, he thought Andres wanted to retire in '89. Andres is part owner of a shrimp farm down in Ecuador. And it looked as though maybe he had strayed far enough from this game to want to just get into that line of work. I'm not sure if the shrimp actually do the farming or if they've got little baby hay threshers or not, but it's good to see him still on the court.
It is 3-2 for the man you're talking about in the second set.
Ladies and gentlemen, the third way ATP Championship is pleased to welcome Radiant Southwest, United Dairy Farmers, United Telephone of Ohio, and Wallingford Coffee Company as official sponsors of the tournament. The third way ATP Championship benefits Children's Hospital Medical Center of Cincinnati, the nation's largest hospital exclusively for infants, children, and adolescents. The staff, patients, and families of Children's Hospital Medical Center, thank you for your support.
I sometimes wish that tennis had golf's energy to change and experiment with different ways of scoring. From the Castle Pines Golf Club in Castle Rock, Colorado, on Thursday and Friday here on ESPN, you can watch the International, and it is a special point system that is used. You get 8 points awarded for a double eagle, for example, 5 for an eagle. It rewards aggressive play. Interesting to watch. Nick Faldo, Greg Norman, and US Open champ Hale Irwin are all scheduled to play there. It's on ESPN Thursday and Friday, so it's going to be fun to watch.
Hey, Cliff, look, there's a bunch more people who you think can win the U.S. Open.
No.
How many people have you? How many men have you said can win the 1990 U.S. Open now? What's it up to, Fred?
This week, 5.
So he's got 12. I'm still waiting for his picks then.
No, you cannot pull him out of the crowd here watching this tournament unless Michael Chang's watching and Ivan Lendl. Game for Stefan Edberg. He gained the ball. Kind of like the first set. A little more up and down as far as serve is concerned, but in general, it has been the serve that has dominated here, as was the case in the first set. It took 5 games all when Stefan Edberg broke and then served out in the match.
Talked about Edberg finding his serve as well this week. And he certainly has done so today. 6 points he dropped on serve in the first set. And he won that 7 games to 5. And he's lost only 3 points in the second set. So the games have not been very long. The opening game of the second set, the longest one of the match, and Gomez survived a break point there. Nearly 100 mile an hour backhand passing shot too.
The hardest hit serve clocked here this week was from Guy Forget, the Frenchman. That was 120. Although on his last serve in doubles last night, a match in which they won, it was 119. He's a very, very talented left-handed player from France. Pleasure to watch.
Oh.
Some guys on the court don't like the speed gun looking up and seeing what they're serving at. I know John Macro has asked for it to be turned off because his serves don't clock that big, although they can be very tough. And last week against Michael Chang, Gary Muller, the big, hard-hitting left-hander, said it was too distracting for him. He was worried too much about speed and not enough about placement, and they turned it off for him. They would put the speed gun on when Chang served, and then took that thing off when Muller served.
Chang wanted to feel good about these 100 miles an hour. Now Edberg has a break point here. First one since the opening game of this set.
And he has the break. All it took in the first set was one break. When we come back, it will be Edberg serving with the second game and leading 4-3 in the second. Got my 12.
Brian? Brian? Do we have to go to the...
Ladies and gentlemen, the Subway ATV Championship is pleased to welcome all Senate, Marion Merrill Dow, American Global Communications, as
Nothing.
sponsors of the tournament.
Yeah. You want to build it?
Oh, you build it.
Okay. You ready? Edberg, Lendl, Gomez, Becker, Agassi.
Refreshments and sandwiches are available on the mezzanine under the east stand. Open until 10 this evening.
Welcome back to the Thriftway ATP Championship, and it's Stefan Edberg, the #1 seed, has just achieved the service break. He won the first set 7 games to 5. Just broken serve now to lead at 4-3. Very warm and humid day here, and Andres Gomez concentration lapses just occasionally, and on that last break point he had rather a simple backhand that he tried to do too much with and hit the top of the tape and rolled out. So Edberg with an opportunity now to close things out, put himself in the final.
I just don't think, Fred, that Gomez is comfortable with the relentless pressure at the net from Edberg. He's always looking to come in. And that's a very difficult thing to try to fight against on a hard court.
The thing that surprised me a little though today with Gomez is that he hasn't tried to take the net away from Edberg at all. He has served and volleyed on a few occasions, but not a lot. And really he hasn't chipped and charged, but Edberg doesn't give you a chance to chip and charge because he comes in on every first and second serve.
Right. You know what I think? I think Gomez was hoping that his first serve would do so much talking for him that it would keep Edberg behind the baseline, and then on something short, Gomez himself could just punish the ball away.
It basically has, except for a couple of games. And
Exactly.
Exactly. Both players have served particularly well. You couldn't say Gomez has served badly. As soon as they get a look at it, Gomez had a look at a short second serve there and dealt with it. So both players are in fine form. It's been a good tennis match.
4-3 Edberg, 15-all now. He won the first set. All he has to do is serve it out, and he wins the right to play in the final here. Against either Brad Gilbert
Gomez is switching rackets again.
or Scott Davis.
He's once again dipping into his bag.
Brad Gilbert, by the way, is the holder here of this tournament. He beat Edberg in the final a year ago, so it could be a replay.
Gilbert had a trifecta here last year. He beat 3 guys in the top 10, Chang, Becker, and then, as you say, Cliff Edberg. And Edberg has a chance for a trifecta. If he beats Chang and Gomez here and then plays Gilbert, who's in the top 10, he'll have accomplished the same thing, and that's quite a week for anybody to put together. Edberg, no matter what happens this week, is going to take off. Next week, he's going to go someplace nice and quiet, he says, with his girlfriend and Ed Olsen. Just get away from it all. And what a thing to be able to go on vacation after having to put together a week where you beat 3 guys in the top 10. Of course, Scott Davis wants to change that and beat Gilbert in the other semi.
Scott Davis had a darn good week here as well, beating McEnroe and then Richard Fromberg last night in a very exciting match. And that'll be a tough semi-final because they've played on 8 occasions and they've both won 4 apiece. Gilbert's won the last 4, but they've had some close matches.
And Edberg 5 games to 3 Been an outstanding year for Stefan Edberg. He got to the final in Australia, as you see him in isolation. He lost to Van Lendl there. At Indian Wells, he beat Andre Agassi in the final. And with shots like that, Andre Agassi then beat him at the Lipton the following week, but he got to the final there as well. He won the Japan Open. Didn't have a good year on the clay courts, including a first-round loss at the French. But then he won Wimbledon and Los Angeles. And you put that together with his results at the end of last year. In the last 12 months, he has garnered enough points to make him the #1 player in the world on the ATP computer now.
Vamos, he just yelled at himself, let's go.
Double fault. He's trying for more on that second serve, and that's one of the reasons he's playing so much better now, but because he will hit a few double faults.
He's so mindful of the fact that this man, Edberg, is going to be looking at chip and charge. That's why he's doubling, I think.
2 points potentially from a place in the final for Edberg. Match point. 2 of them. Tournaments going on next week, Indianapolis and New Haven. Pat Cash plays Mats Wielander. in the first round at New Haven. And here we have match point for the second time for Edberg. That's one. Match is over. Stefan Edberg in the final here to play either against Brad Gilbert or Scott Davis for the title of the fifth-way ATP Championship for this year. And Fred, just a very, very solid display from Stefan Edberg. It's becoming more and more commonplace.
Well, from both players, Cliff, I don't think Andres Gomez can rise too much about that match. It was well played. Stefan Edberg, we figured at the start of the day, had found his serve, and it was the serve that dominated throughout the match. And Edberg, even though he served a couple of double faults, very effective on serve. Andres Gomez pretty much the same, but it was the constant pressure that we talked about, the net attack, with Edberg getting in and making those volleys when they were needed. It was the telling factor at the end of the day.
He sure does put the pressure on you, and he put too much on the man you're looking at, Andres Gomez of Ecuador. In straight sets, Edberg 7-5 and 6-3. He's in the final of this year's ATP.
Yeah, Brian? Okay, is this going to be a quick interview? Kiwi? Hey, Brian?
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please for Mike Brascender. Please report to the lens transfer booth on the east side of the stadium. Mike Brascender, please report to the lens transfer booth at the east side of the stadium. You are aware of a premiere of Ray-Dan sunglasses. Ray-Dan sunglasses from about the world, the world's finest sunglasses.
So the quiet man, the polite man of tennis is through to the final of the fifth-way ATP Championship from the Jack Nicklaus Sports Center. Stefan Edberg over Andres Gomez in straight set, 7-5, 6-3. He's at courtside now with Mary Carrera.
Stefan, more magnificent hardcourt tennis from you. Have you ever played this well on the hard?
Well, I'm playing very well at the moment. I've played a lot of matches lately, which always help, and I feel in good shape, and there's nothing wrong with my confidence. So, you know, I'm playing the right shots at the right time, and that normally happens.
There wasn't much between you and Gomez, only the fact that you were able to break him. Did you think the match would go like that?
Well, I know at times he can serve very, very well, and you know when he gets his chance, he really steps in and hits his forehand, which is really heavy. So it's really hard to counterpunch. And you know, I was just waiting for my chances today. He made 2 or 3 mistakes, and that was enough to give me the 2 breaks.
Can you talk about what it's like being #1 for? You've been that way about 10 hours now. How's it feeling?
Feeling very good. Yeah, you feel good within yourself. I enjoy the tennis as much as I've ever done, and you know, it's a great feeling.
Did you call your parents and stuff? I mean, have you celebrated much?
Well, I couldn't yesterday because it was too late, but I will today. I'm sure they know about it already because there was a lot of things going on yesterday with the press and Swedish press, of course, and a lot of things to do.
It's terrific to see you playing in this kind of form. You've never gotten past the semis of the U.S. Open. Is that going to change this year? What caused that, considering you're such a good hard courter?
Well, if you look back, 86 and 87, I wasn't really finished as a tennis player. I feel I'm a better tennis player today. Last 2 years, I've been a little bit unlucky. I haven't played that well, and so the last 2 years I haven't really done that well. But I feel this year, if I continue to play as I do of today, then I got a very good chance of doing well.
If you were to do that and play well at the Open, take that title and the Wimbledon title, and that's a dream year for players.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that is very good if you can win 2 slams in 1 year, and obviously Wimbledon, US Open, the 2 biggest ones, would be terrific, but long way there.
All right. Thanks a lot, Stefan. Back to you, Cliff and Fred.
Thanks, Mary. Not that well. Boy, it hasn't been that bad for Stefan Edberg either. As you said, he's a Wimbledon champion now, and at this point playing outstanding tennis. He's also the best player in the world according to the ATP computer as of now. We'll be back with more live coverage from Cincinnati after this.